This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
As Cheyenne's weather turns warmer, dust and pollen can become a problem for those with allergies, asthma, or respiratory issues. And the last thing you want in the summer heat is poor air quality in your home or office. So it's time to turn to Marv's Plumbing and Heating. That's right, Cheyenne's most trusted plumbing, sewer, and heating business also services air conditioning. Marv's Plumbing and Heating, 1515 Logan Avenue, can handle all your air conditioning needs. Give them a call, 316-7634. That's 316-7634.
Is your teenager ready to drive?
Come on, Mom. Let's go.
Sorry, you're not ready to drive yet.
What? Come on.
You need to complete a driver's ed class first.
The Wyoming-Montana Safety Council offers a complete driver's education program taught by Tim Woodard, former Laramie County School District's driver's ed teacher. Classes are starting soon. Please call 635-4592 to sign up or go to wmsafetycouncil.org. Wyoming-Montana Safety Council. Think safe, live safe.
What you are about to hear is a sports talk radio show unlike any other that has ever before been broadcast in the capital city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, USA. This is Cheyenne, Wyoming's Sports Talk Authority. The Wyoming Cowboys, the Denver Broncos, the Colorado Rockies, and the Denver Nuggets. The show is local, it's regional, and yes, the show is national as well. Wyoming Sports Talk Today is on the air. If they're talking sports on the radio in Cheyenne, this is the place it happens. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today.
Welcome once again to Wyoming Sports Talk Today, a busy 3 o'clock hour. So let's get to our great sponsors who make our program all possible. Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service on Highway 30, your home for Jayco RVs and fifth wheels. Chick-fil-A at the corner of Windmill and Del Range, where you will find delicious breakfast, lunch, and dinner goodies all the time from Ray and Cindy's place over at Chick-fil-A, corner of Windmill and Del Range across from Menards. Kia of Cheyenne, where the Millers, AJ and Greg, and the entire Kia staff have a great lineup of Kias for you to test drive and then drive home. Kia of Cheyenne over on Nationwide. Platte Valley Bank with 2 banking locations. Banking done the old-fashioned way, customer service. Always you first and foremost. The original location on Vanda High, the east side location corner of College and Pershing, Platte Valley Bank. Medicap Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical needs in their same location. They're not going anywhere. Been there for a long time. Not their first rodeo. Yeah, Medicap Pharmacy on Bluegrass Circle next door to Texas Roadhouse. We also want to thank Lennox Auto Body ×2, where Heather and her great staff have the main repair center over on Dunn Avenue. They also have for you their auto glass and detail center. Remember, it's not clean until it's Lennox clean over on Pershing Boulevard. First Tier Bank. You will find Tim and his great staff right over at 1508 Stillwater Avenue, where you can check out their CD rates right now. Great APY is going on. Mondello's Pizzeria across the street, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D in the Greenway Commons. Joe invites you to come on by and try their Paisan cuisine 7 days a week. It is so delicious. The Wyoming-Montana Safety Council. Give Tim a call, 635-4592. Marv's Plumbing and Heating. You need that air conditioning looked at, make sure you give them a call or check them out at 1515 Logan Avenue, their same location. Lincoln Liquor. Grab a cold one for the ride home and then pop it open when you get home at 2825 East Lincoln Way, where they have a variety of delicious beverages for you. And Taco John's, your home for loaded potato olays. Their sirloin steak burrito. Of course, 6-pack at £1. Or maybe you do Taco Tuesdays, and that happens every Tuesday like it did yesterday. Taco John's of Cheyenne. And we go to our scoreboard, which is brought to you by the great folks at Pepsi of Cheyenne. Here's Nick.
On the local side, at least here in town from yesterday, a doubleheader between the Cheyenne Post 6 Sixers and Laramie Rangers. It was a twice as good victory for Post 6 as game one, that at least yesterday. They won 14-8, and game number 2 won 13-3 against Laramie, and they now stand, at least Cheyenne, 50-15 overall. Also, too, in Florida, as I was saying yesterday, they're down in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. That would be the Cheyenne Extreme Team Galicia. They had a few contests go underway yesterday and also too earlier today. They are 3-0 right now in the national championship bracket right now. They will play tomorrow against Georgia Ignite down there in Florida. So that's what's happening on the local side for both baseball and softball for Cheyenne.
And last night's Midsummer Classic did play out, 3.5 hours worth over in Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. And the American League, along with the National League, they were bombing them out of the park, 10 home runs to be exact. But the Americans...
A new All-Star game record.
Yeah, and the Americans did very well, especially in the 10th inning, off a Dodgers pitcher, no less. So it went 10 innings with the American League winning 8-6 over the National League. Oh, by the way, for the National League, Trevor Story, Colorado Rockies shortstop, hitting a round tripper in the loss. Again, Americans 8 and the National League 6 in 10 innings at Nats Park. We will be back with our first guest after we take this time out right here on 1480 K-Ray.
This is the Pepsi that's got a date with your taste buds. We're talking 1,000 bubbles dancing a two-step with you and two top.
taking a night off against worse team issues that so many young teams go through, then you can see a potential 3-4 win jump just from that point alone. And if that happens, I mean, the Nuggets are looking down at potentially being a 50-win team last year. So for me, that's the big area. Yes, they need to get better on the road. You're not wrong in any way, shape, or form. They do. But I think the biggest thing is that consistency every single night.
You know, I'm looking at the future, and again, you know, do I think Golden State's going to, you know, getting Boogie Cousins, does that just make them that much better? I believe it does, but I'm looking at the future here, and stop me if I'm wrong, TJ. The Nuggets will go with Minnesota, we'll go with Utah. I want to discount Portland now, and I'd probably throw New Orleans in, but is the future in those 4 teams that we'll be talking about maybe 3-4 years down the road that they are the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds?
They're going to be up there for sure. I mean, it remains to be seen how long this Warriors dynasty lasts. It remains to be seen what the Rockets are going to be able to do by the end of Chris Paul's new max contract. All of these things are still very interesting to kind of see as they play out. When you're talking about young and up-and-coming teams, though, you look at Minnesota, and they have the dysfunction between Jimmy Butler being frustrated with Andrew Wiggins, who isn't nearly the player he should have been, while Karl Anthony Towns is very much so proud of himself and all of his accomplishments, and there's some dysfunction there. There's some weirdness there. There's a lot of these things, like even Portland. Portland's capped out. They're hard capped to the point to where they are not able to bring in more help or assets outside of trading for these players. And they just gave Yusef Nurkic a 4-year deal that they basically just had to give to him to keep a center on the roster. I mean, New Orleans is the one interesting one because you have Anthony Davis, you have Drew Holiday. You'll be able to open up space later, and they're still a functional team. But there's a lot of these up-and-coming teams that are starting to see the fraying effect of what happens as things become real in the NBA. The Nuggets have not had that yet. This team really enjoys each other. They enjoy playing together. There's no prima donna type individuals that are making this locker room more cancerous. So when I look ahead and I look at the teams that could potentially put themselves among the Western Conference's elite, I almost put Denver above all of them because there is so many other variables that can be so much more negative than positive for these other teams.
TJ, thank you so much for the insight. We're looking forward to catching up with you throughout the course of the upcoming season. And again, thank you for joining us today on Wyoming Sports Talk today.
Of course. Thank you guys very much. Have a good rest of your day.
All righty. TJ McBride, Nuggets beat writer for MileHighSports.com and host of the Nuggets Daily Podcast. Going to take a time out. Our next guest is up and ready, and we're back after these words right here on 1480 K-Ray. Wow, it's hot enough out there to fry chicken. So now's the time to find ways to beat the heat in Marv's absolutely free. So stop by Platte Valley Bank today and lose those fees with value checking.
Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC.
The time is now, and the place to go is Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service for their annual model clearance sale of Jayco RVs and fifth wheels. This is your year to travel the countryside. And what better way with your Jayco RV from Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service. And to put you on the road today, save 30% on their annual model clearance. Their savings are always the best on whatever model you select. Come see and take home your favorite today when you buy from Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service at 6102 East Highway 30 in Cheyenne, or go online to jollyrogersrvs.com.
We're taking Cheyenne, Wyoming Sports Talk Radio to a whole new level. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Stop this crazy thing! And it's only here on AM 1480 K-Ray.
We are back on Wyoming Sports Talk today. We get a chance to chat once again with Thomas Harding. He's the Rockies insider for MLB.com, who's enjoying a beverage right now and listening to some tunes, and we might be able to hear some of those tunes underneath. Thomas, good to have you back on Wyoming Sports Talk today. How you doing?
I feel good. I feel clean. How about you guys?
We feel great. Hey, I got a first question out of the box from the last night's All-Star game. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the 25-year history of the Rockies, wasn't that the first home run ever hit by a Rocky in the All-Star game with Trevor Story?
I thought that that Todd Helton and Matt Holliday have hit home runs in the All-Star game. I don't remember that, but I'm pretty sure that those two, yeah, they have.
Okay, I was trying to look up the records here, and I couldn't find one.
Yeah, so, it was Helton and Holliday.
Good. All right. Well, anyway, so Story hits a home run last night, so the Rockies have a little bit of a good show at the All-Star game. But the thing about the Rockies, they've had, I would say a great show as of the last couple of weeks where we kind of wrote them off for dead. All of a sudden now they're right there, in the middle of the pack in the NL West as we get ready for the second half of the season. What do you foresee there in your crystal ball?
Well, first of all, it is really strange because a couple of weeks ago it did seem like the Rockies were heading in a really bad direction, but they never exactly fell completely out of it because a lot of teams go through ups and downs during the season. So they're going into the second half, 2 games out of first place in the National League West, and almost as important, 2 games out of the wild card. And also, the Diamondbacks are a half game out in the wild card. So the start of the season, it looked like only one team was coming out of the National League West to go to the playoffs. Now the question is, if these teams play well enough, can you have a repeat of last year where you have multiple teams from the West in the playoffs or in the postseason?
Well, I want to ask you, Thomas, as we are getting close to trade deadline, we've already seen a few, or at least it's a pending so far, especially with the Los Angeles Dodgers and Manny Machado. But, for the Rockies, especially where it's felt like this team was kind of in a tailspin almost there a few weeks ago, at this point in time where, again, they're still in the thick of things and potentially could win the NL West here, is it a situation where the Rockies are buyers, sellers, or is this team just going to kind of stand pat before the trade deadline?
Well, I think that the decision really hasn't been made yet, but there's a chance that they could be in the buyer category. Here are a couple of issues that they have with being buyers, though, is that if you look at the way this season has gone, when they've needed some depth, they've gotten it from David Dahl, they've gotten it from Noel Cuevas. So whenever they've had a hole, generally they filled it from within. In order to get the 1 or 2 pieces that you could get, you give up multiple pieces like that. So the Rockies have to decide, is this the year they give up those multiple pieces? And also, it seems that, when you look at that rotation, just like last season, you don't have a lot of playoff-proven veterans in the rotation. In fact, you don't have any. But can you afford to give up what it takes to get those guys, and are those guys good enough? There's a lot of talk about Jacob deGrom from the Mets and also Noah Syndergaard and Matt Harvey from the Reds. The question for those guys is, do you give up what it takes to get them? The question for Harvey is, can he pitch here? Or the question is, if those guys truly aren't available, and there are a lot of people around baseball who really don't feel the Mets are going to trade deGrom or Syndergaard, the question becomes, to get a J-Happ or a Cole Hamels, is it really worth it? Or do they add that much at this stage of their careers to your rotation to get you there? So there's some questions when it comes to that. Now, could they beef up the bullpen? The question there is, does Jeff Bridich say, hey, we need to spend a little bit of money on this bullpen, and does ownership say, wait a second, Wade Davis, Brian Shaw, and Jake McGee, spend a lot of money on those fellas, let's see what we can get out of those. So the Rockies do have some areas where they could beef up the pitching, but they also have some concerns that will have to be addressed before they really pull the trigger on a move.
You know, one of the things, Thomas, that the Rockies have done, in my opinion, and my son will disagree, with John Gray coming back and having a very successful start, the young guns are paying off in dividends. I mean, you know, again, we look at sophomore seasons for some of these guys, but, you know, Freeland has thrown well in his last few starts, and I'm bummed that he was a snub on the All-Star team. That's a Dave Roberts Dodgers thing, in my opinion. But, you know, then you have Anderson, who's been throwing well. Gray looked good in his last start. Bettis, if he can ever get the blisters off his fingers. I mean, you got 4 solid starters. Now, Marquez has also been coming out and getting them where Bud Black wants them to get them to, at least up to about the 7th inning. And then you're supposed to have the specialists, like you mentioned, McGee and Shaw. They take over and they set it up for Wade Davis and Ottavino. So I guess my question is, with Gray coming back, and it looks like he got his act together down there in Albuquerque, I think they've got the young guns that can get that job done for Bud Black.
Well, they got it done last year with the depth that they have, but the question becomes the depth situation, especially with the 2 pitchers with the blisters, with Chad Bettis and also Senzatella. Suddenly, I think they're coming out of the break. They can go with 4 starters for a little while, but those guys have to get healthy. What happened last year, they used, I believe it was 6 starters. I think 4 of them were rookies, or maybe it was 7 all season long. If they have some injuries or whatever, they may be forced to go outside to help or forced to call up people that may not be quite ready from the inside. So there is some depth there, but already with the injuries, with Gray going down a bit, you know, they've eaten into some of the depth. So are they really able to go to the end? They may decide that they are, and you may be right that they have the young guns to do it. But I think it's more of a question this year than it was last year when they didn't even entertain going after someone. And let's face it, the person to go after would have been Justin Verlander. But to destroy your depth for Justin Verlander when you're at the beginning of a winning window, I think was not a smart decision. Maybe in a couple of years, if that pitcher is out there, that's when you do it, just like the Astros did last year.
Thomas Harding, Rockies insider for MLB.com, joining us. You know, the West, and when you and Nick were talking, the West has just beaten up on itself. I mean, there's nobody. The top 4 teams, Giants, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Rockies, I mean, they've just pounded on each other. Padres have been, and I don't want to use the word cannon fodder, but they sneak in once in a while and grab a victory. But now the West kind of takes a break from itself, or, you know, I would say I think they'll get back together in earnest here in September. Now is a chance for the West to, as you guys mentioned, maybe throw in that extra wild card team, maybe 2 wild cards coming out of the West. I'm thinking if we're lucky, we might get 1. That East division doesn't seem like they're ready to fold yet.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you on the East because Atlanta has fallen back a bit, and also the Philadelphia Phillies. Hey, they look like they may be for real, but you're talking about 2 really young teams and a potential monster in the Washington Nationals. Remember last year in the Central where it looked like Milwaukee was going to kind of step up and be the team, and the St. Louis Cardinals fought for the playoffs, but the experience of the St. Louis Cardinals ended up the experience of the Chicago Cubs coming up the World Series championship ended up winning that division last season, and I still haven't given up on the Nationals in the East. That's one of the reasons that I believe that it's possible that the West could get there and have 3 teams in the playoffs. I'm not saying that it's a shoe-in because a lot has to happen, but it's not impossible. And I think about a month or so ago, everybody really believed that it was just going to be the division champion going to the playoffs from the National League West.
You mentioned the Cardinals. I just wanted to throw that out real quick because I know Nick wanted to ask you a question. The situation with Mike Matheny and some of the coaching staff getting in the booth there. I mean, eyebrow raised for me. And then yesterday we read a story about Yadier Molina could possibly and again, I'm just throwing that out there. Do you think that's a possibility after the end of the season? They're going to talk to him about being player manager. I think the last guy that did that was Frank Robinson when he took over as the first black skipper of the Cleveland Indians. Is that something that St. Louis might consider?
The last player manager I remember was Pete Rose. And
I'm sorry. Yeah, Pete Rose.
Yeah.
I apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, that one ended so spectacularly awful. I guess they could look at it, but I think that there's going to be a movement within the Cardinals organization to get back to some normalcy. I mean, if you think about it, they were one of the best organizations in baseball. They developed pitching like nobody's business. Then they lose Jeff Loonhout, their scouting director, to the Houston Astros, and it's begun a big domino effect in that organization. They had the scandal with the Houston Astros hacking into their computers. Then John Mozeliak, who I believe is a very good baseball executive, but he gets promoted, and I'm not sure that he has all the people behind him. So the Cardinals build it with the owner. I just wonder if they're going to try to get to something a little bit more normal, and a player manager is not that normal. I mean, what I would do if I'm the Cardinals is give some consideration to second-time managers or to people that have managed other teams. There's the whole criticism that a lot of times you have a recycled manager, and that's a bad thing. But they've got some. I think they've got some winning ball players there. I've even thrown out the idea of say Joe Girardi, or even, believe it or not, I know here in Colorado people don't want to hear it, a Walt Weiss, someone that has been through it and maybe has seen how things can fall apart, and then if they could come back into a well-organized situation, see what happens from there. Even a Bo Porter who was with the Braves organization, but, try to find someone that maybe is new blood but has done this before and kind of lean back on the things that have made you successful in the past.
Or heck, maybe St. Louis just goes or at least maybe a Tony La Russa just says, I got that coaching itch and gets back into it. But anyways, Thomas, I want to get back and focus on the Rockies again. As we were discussing, at least kind of here we are in the second half of the season, Dodgers already looking to make their move with Manny Machado and trying to elevate themselves to separate and take over that NL West crown for this season. But for the Rockies, what is the smart move for them? What do they need to focus on? Is it a realistic goal that they could win the NL West division title this year, or should they just kind of sit back and just go, all right, Dodgers are going to cruise with this thing as they've done, at least in kind of years past, or is it a situation that the Rockies need to go and just focus for one of those wild card spots? What's kind of more realistic for the Rockies this season?
You want to go challenge the champion and knock the champion out, period. That's your thought process. And if it is the wild card, that's fine. I mean, in the ultimate scheme of things, as long as you get into the tournament, you've got a chance to win the World Series. But you're trying to win the division. You have built a team that you think is going to win over a period of time, and you simply challenge that team you've built to win the division. Offensively, they're as good as anybody in the division. Even if, and partly because, if the Dodgers get Manny Machado, that may lead to a domino effect where, let's say that, I've heard this thrown out today, Chris Taylor ends up at second base. Cody Bellinger ends up in center field. You've got a team of guys that are playing multiple positions, but do they really play them well enough to win? Now let's look at the Rockies, the infield, and the infield defense is second to none there. I mean, you lean on the things that get you there. If your pitchers are effective, and over this last 16 games, they've had the best ERA in the National League. If the pitchers are effective during that period of time, and the defense is putting away outs, then you may be able to make up for some of what Manny Machado brings to the Los Angeles Dodgers offense.
I'm looking here at the Rockies schedule for the next couple of weeks, July 20th all the way through August 5th. And again, home and away. You have Arizona on the road, Houston, Oakland at Coors Field, then to St. Louis and Milwaukee. This is where I think we're going to see the grit of the Rockies for the next couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, let's face it, a lot of decisions get made based on what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. If it all falls apart, then the Rockies will have to ask themselves the questions. Do you start trading guys? And the two that I'm getting the most buzz about are Adam Ottavino and DJ LeMahieu. And it's basically because if you look at the Yankees and the Red Sox, they could use either of those guys, and if you're able to get a big enough package of prospects, maybe they make that move. But they don't make that move if they're in the playoff race here, even though, it could help you in the future. It would be hard to be close enough to stay in it and start trading guys, because you've already sold Charlie Blackmon on, hey, there's a future here, and he's already signed the contract. You've got a very impatient Nolan Arenado now. Granted, you don't want a player to be your general manager here, but you really want to kind of feed on some of the good of the last couple of weeks, and also you want to keep that team going. You want to keep your fan base going. So it would be hard to become a seller. But if things fall apart and they do have some tough opponents here over the next couple of weeks, then that could actually be the prudent move.
Final thought, and we want to thank you again for joining us, Thomas. You mentioned Arenado, and I know he's the clubhouse leader as far as I'm concerned for the Rocks. Where are we at? Are you hearing anything inside? Are they close? Are they even discussing anything? What's going on?
It's not a discussion on either side, and if you look at it, I'm not going to say he's the leader of their clubhouse, simply because, like when he spoke up a couple of weeks ago, the key to it, because once that happens, in my experience, is you start talking to the other players, especially the other players that have some service time. Guys like Chris Iannetta, guys like Charlie Blackmon, guys like Carlos Gonzalez. And all of those guys were like, and I'm talking about to a man, it's like they didn't feel that Nolan was trying to pressure the organization, A. And secondly, their immediate response was that guys like Brian Shaw and Wade Davis and Jake McGee are good players, and they're having a bad time, but they're good enough to get them to the playoffs. So it's a pretty united group in there. Now, as far as Nolan Arenado and his future is concerned, it doesn't make a lot of sense for either side to enter into contract talks right now, because in addition to kind of wanting to set their payroll for the future, Arenado, when he's eligible for free agency after next season, could have a max contract, one of the biggest in the game. And I think that at some point a player owes it to himself to see what he can make out there. Now, do the Rockies commit to a max contract? If they're going to do it, I would say maybe not now. You can commit to that max contract and have injuries over the next 2 years, and you're in a pickle right there. So the Rockies have reason to wait also. So you can wait this thing out, and if let's say things fall apart next season at the deadline, you make a trade, and you rebuild or you retool that way on the run. So I don't think there's a reason to engage in any long-term contract talks on the part of the Rockies, and especially on the part of Nolan Arenado.
All righty, Thomas Hardy, thank you so much for joining us on Wyoming Sports Talk today. We're going to catch up with you again, hopefully here during the dog days. I know we're starting the dog days, but we're going to get into it when it's into the serious part of the dog days of Major League Baseball, and we appreciate your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me. And, I know that as the Rockies fans out there, they probably don't want to hear the possibility of Nolan Arenado being gone after next season, but the point is this. They've got a chance this year. Do what you can now. Some things aren't front burner issues, and his contract is not one of them.
Don't break Rockies fans' hearts like that, Thomas. Don't even mention those words in these parts.
I think you hurt their feelings when you said DJ LeMahieu might be on the move.
Yeah, well, hey, win some games, and we don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, you take care, buddy. We will talk to you later on. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, Thomas Hardy joining us here on Wyoming Sports Talk today. Take a timeout. Come back. We got more after these words right here in 1480 K-Ray.
Is your teenager ready to drive?
Come on, Mom. Let's go.
Sorry, you're not ready to drive yet.
What? Come on.
You need to complete a driver's ed class first.
The Wyoming-Montana Safety Council offers a complete driver's education program taught by Tim Woodard, former Laramie County School District's driver's ed teacher. Classes are starting soon. Please call 635-4592 to sign up or go to wmsafetycouncil.org. Wyoming-Montana Safety Council. Think safe, live safe.
For 56 years, 1480 K-Ray has been Cheyenne's home for good times and great oldies. Also with KYY-FM, we are Cheyenne and the area's only locally owned AM/FM combo radio stations. Add that to the addition of 3 FM radio translators to serve the area with programming from both K-Ray and KYY, and that equals a lot of bang for your local advertising dollar. Radio, yesterday and today, still works. For more information, contact Don Morris at 307-637-0301.
John Mason here for Lincoln Way Liquor. I want to thank Cheyenne for helping us grow during our first year of business. We have over 5,000 new customers in our database in just 13 months. Our customers love our low prices, free ice, 2% credit for future purchases, and some really friendly service. And we always have 16 weekly specials on beer, wine, and liquor. We ask you to compare Lincoln Way Liquor, 2825 East Lincoln Way. We're not the largest, but we might just be the best.
When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think authentic Italian. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think made fresh from scratch. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think great pizza, delicious Philly cheesesteak, superb hot and cold Italian sandwiches, meatballs, sausage, and special subs, calzones, crisp salads, and great service. When you say Mondello's Pizzeria, think unmatched Italian taste. Mondello's Pizzeria, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, your only true Italian stop for lunch or dinner.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 K-Ray.
For today, it'll be sunny with highs around 87 and winds out of the northwest at 10 to 15. Then tonight, it'll be clear skies with lows around 55. On Thursday, it'll be sunny with highs around 91. And on Thursday night, it'll be mostly clear with lows around 55.
You bleed brown and gold? So do we. Wyoming Cowboys football and basketball is always front and center on the show. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's here on AM 1480 K-Ray.
We are back on Wyoming Sports Talk today, just about ready to wrap up hour number one. Now, I want to get Rocky fans at ease right now. Nothing's been thrown out yet about Nolan Arenado.
No, that was all just speculation talk there. With
And
Thomas,
again, but you look at the next couple of weeks.
Again, he has been vocal. Again, with Nolan, he's been vocal that he's been upset. At least, again, without. There have been insider information of saying he's unhappy with how things are going with the Rockies. Again, he's top level talent, and the Rockies kind of struggle or kind of put into the at least playoffs. And maybe it is a situation where what we saw in the NBA, especially with a Kawhi Leonard, as much as the Spurs have been fairly consistent. This was kind of an off year, but still haven't won a championship. Maybe it's a situation where Nolan is not saying he's going rogue, but maybe he's a little upset, wants to win a championship. He has all this talent to offer, and he goes, "Hey, I'm offering you guys this, and you can't. All we can get is a wild card spot. Like, come on now." Again, that's just me thinking.
And he got the taste of it last year, and you want more. They're thirsty for more.
You got a small taste,
but he's also young. He's in his prime.
No, yeah.
And again, too, you look at that infield, except for Desmond. You got Story, you got Arenado, and you got LeMahieu. You got guys that are in their prime, and the baby of the group is Story.
Yeah.
If you keep those three, and Desmond is inked in for another 3 more years or 2 more years with the Rocks, you look at that infield. That's a pretty solid infield. Outfield, they got Chuck Nasty in play.
It's a team that's been solid for years.
I know, but
we've talked about, and again, this is going back to probably 2013, where the Rockies have always been known as an offense.
I'm looking at if they don't have the disruptions. Again, you got Chuck Nasty in play. You got Parr in play. Right field, again, where you've got guns like David Dahl. You've got Cuevas. You got Tapia. I don't expect Cargo to be out there next year.
No.
But the thing is, you've got a solid foundation.
You've had a solid foundation. You've had it for quite some time.
But they never had the pitching. I believe now they've got the young gun pitching. And you may disagree with me.
Well,
I think if John Gray went down to Albuquerque, got straightened out, if he did, you put him up there with Anderson, you put him up there with Freeland. If Bettis turns around, now again, Marquez or Sensatella, I don't know. Also, too, you have Hoffman. Hoffman needs to get straightened out as well, too. They do have the capability of having 6 good starters. Now, whether they can go, again, in my opinion, you need to get at least into the 7th inning to set for your setup.
And again,
guys.
I don't think at least a lot of those starters are
Freeland and Anderson have proven their worth to me. Gray showed some signs there against Seattle this past weekend. So again, get Bettis on track. Again, these finger injuries, get them all taken care of.
But again, this is a team that has been solid. Other than last, the main issue last year was the bullpen. We saw what happened. Again, it lost them that wild card game against Arizona. But they addressed it in the offseason, spent an expensive bullpen, especially that Thomas just mentioned with us. Again, we've known that going into the season, and it's still not working for them. But again, it goes back to the key thing, and it goes with NBA, NHL, any major sport. What are you doing? You're playing that game. Why? To win championships.
Absolutely.
Are the Rockies a team that is going to win a championship or is going to win that World Series anytime soon? Sorry. I do not. Again, if I give you a 5-year leeway, I do not see it at this point in time. Again, they've been stacked for quite some time. It has been a team that's known as an offensive juggernaut for a decade, and it doesn't matter if it was Tulo, Holiday, even when you had Todd Helton on this team. Now you have all these other new guys again who are in their prime. Again, you're still sitting right now behind, trailing the Dodgers. That's why I had to ask Thomas that question. Is it realistic that this team could win the West, especially with what the moves are being made right now in the West? Or is it something that they need to seriously just focus on only securing a wild card spot?
Well, I look at it this way. This team.
I'm just saying for Nolan, it's a situation. Is he getting that into his mind of going, I want to win a title, and I'm not going to do it.
The Rockies have always been a team of worry. We're worried about Desmond coming out hitting $143 in the beginning of the season. Now he's hitting, over 200, and he's been hitting over 300 over the last month. They're worried about, Brian Shaw not getting the job done.
Yeah.
McGee has been inconsistent even as of last year. Ottavino seems like he straightened himself out. Wade Davis is not going to have the Holland fall apart as they did last year when Greg Holland fell apart.
There's still a whole,
I know
got the whole
they still
second
have
half,
a second
so we don't
half,
know.
but I think a lot of the worries that the Rockies had around the diamond bullpen and with the starters last year, I think right now, I think the Rockies are a little more at ease. They've got some pieces.
If Colorado was smart, again, what we talked with Thomas there, again, it was a valid question on my behalf is, are they going to be buyers or sellers? I think in order to kind of ease some of those pieces, especially Arenado, your franchise player.
Buy.
But I'm just saying, buy though. Be like the Dodgers. Make those big moves to show that you're invested in winning and getting into the playoffs, getting to the National League Championship Series, getting back to the World Series. Show that you are interested. Again, kind of put that ease to those players' minds of going, yes, Arenado, we understand your worries. Here's what we're doing to address that right now so we can be a even more winning ball club.
And again,
advance on past the wild card.
Jeff Bridich has got all the pressure on him right now. And again, the Rockies come out of the box when they come back after the break. Arizona, Astros, Athletics, St. Louis, Milwaukee. Right there, that's your season right there.
Yeah, that's 5 tough series.
And you're expecting the Rockies to be above 500 when it's all said and done. And again, with the Astros and Athletics, they get them at Coors Field. So, a lot will be seen if the Rockies do stumble out of the blocks, but still are within the thick of things. Again, it's going to be those 3 games at Arizona. That's where you're going to see Bridich making some possibly some roster moves. We're going to take a time out.
If he has the checkbook available to him.
I think he may have the checkbook.
Doubtful.
The Rockies,
again, doubtful.
The Rockies are like the Nuggets. They got plenty of money. Trust me.
Yeah, they have plenty of money. They don't spend it, though.
They're going to, if they want to be a pennant contender and you want to keep a guy like Nolan on the team, you may want to dip into that precious
Are
dollar.
they going to, though?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what Bridich. We'll see how much control he has as a general manager. All right, we're going to take a timeout. We're going to wrap up hour number 1 right here in Wyoming Sports Talk today. We're back after these words.
This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
Also being heard on translator K266CC Cheyenne at 101.1 FM.
As Cheyenne's weather turns warmer, dust and pollen can become a problem for those with allergies, asthma, or respiratory issues. And the last thing you want in the summer heat is poor air quality in your home or office. So it's time to turn to Marv's Plumbing and Heating. That's right, Cheyenne's most trusted plumbing, sewer, and heating business also services air conditioning. Marv's Plumbing and Heating, 1515 Logan Avenue, can handle all your air conditioning needs. Give them a call, 316-7634. That's 316-7634.
Is your teenager ready to drive?
Come on, Mom. Let's go.
Sorry, you're not ready to drive yet.
What? Come on.
You need to complete a driver's ed class first.
The Wyoming Montana Safety Council offers a complete driver's education program taught by Tim Woodard, former Laramie County School District's driver's ed teacher. Classes are starting soon. Please call 635-4592 to sign up or go to wmsafetycouncil.org. Wyoming Montana Safety Council. Think safe, live safe.
What you are about to hear is a sports talk radio show unlike any other that has ever before been broadcast in the capital city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, USA. This is Cheyenne, Wyoming's Sports Talk Authority. The Wyoming Cowboys, the Denver Broncos, the Colorado Rockies, and the Denver Nuggets. The show is local, it's regional, and yes, the show is national as well. Wyoming Sports Talk Today is on the air. If they're talking sports on the radio in Cheyenne, this is the place it happens. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today.
It is hour number 2 of Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's being brought to you by Lincoln Way Liquor at 2825 East Lincoln Way, Marv's Plumbing and Heating, 1515 Logan Avenue. The Wyoming Montana Safety Council. Give them a call, 635-4592. We want to thank Mondello's Pizzeria at 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D in the Greenway Commons. Delicious Paisan cuisine 7 days a week, and it's always fresh and delicious. First Tier Bank right across the street at 1508 Stillwater Avenue. Lennox Auto Body ×2, the main repair center on Dunn Avenue, the Auto Glass and Detail Center over on Pershing Boulevard. Medicap Pharmacy, Bluegrass Circle, next door to Texas Roadhouse. Platte Valley Bank ×2, the original location on Vanda High, and the east side location corner of College and Pershing. Platte Valley Bank ×2. Key of Cheyenne. Man, some good-looking rides out there on Nation Way. Check out what they have for you today at Key of Cheyenne. Chick-fil-A at the corner of Windmill and Del Range, where they were plenty busy this past weekend thanks to the Cabo World Series. I saw a lot of folks with Chick-fil-A goodies, and Ray and Cindy are very appreciative of that. Trust me, they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner 6 days a week. Chick-fil-A, Windmill and Del Range, right across from Menards. Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service on Highway 30. Your home for Jayco RVs and fifth wheels. How about Taco John's of Cheyenne? Loaded potato olays, their sirloin steak burritos. Taco Tuesday, 6-pack and a pound, all the goodies that you can expect from our friends at Taco John's. And our scoreboard, always brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne. First to Nick, here's what's happening.
Well, what happened yesterday on the local side with Cheyenne Post 6, they were in action over at Powers Field. They had a doubleheader against the Laramie Rangers. Got a victory ×2. At least game 1 was a 14-8 victory, and game number 2 later that day was a 13-3 victory. So Cheyenne Post 6 sits 50-15 overall. For Cheyenne Extreme, they are down in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. At least that is Cheyenne Extreme Team Galicia. They had a few victories yesterday, taking on a few teams out of Illinois and also to Indiana. And today they had a game earlier against Blaze 18 where they won 2-1. They will have a game coming up tomorrow against Georgia Ignite out of Bogart, Georgia. So good luck to the Cheyenne Extreme as they are competing right now in the national tournament out in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
In the Midsummer Classic last night that took place at Nats Park in Washington, D.C., it was the American League defeating the National League in 10 innings. A lot of round trippers in that one. 10 home runs. It's our scoreboard right here on 1480 K-Ray.
Hi, I'm Alex White, tea master at Pure Leaf. When I make tea, everything I know goes into it. You can't be impatient. When I craft Pure Leaf iced tea, I don't take shortcuts, because I want you to have the same amazing taste of iced tea that I do. So I start with fresh picked tea leaves. Then, after they're delicately dried, I blend and brew them at a lower temperature to draw out their unique aromas. And then I taste and fine-tune the blend for a delicious smooth iced tea. I'd love to have you take a sip right now, but that's one thing we can't do over the radio. But you can experience the same delicious taste of Pure Leaf iced tea anywhere you are. I'm Alex White, Pure Leaf Tea Master. Pure Leaf, our thing is tea.
Hop into the K-Ray Time Machine each Monday through Thursday for the golden age of radio, featuring famous radio classics such as Jack Armstrong and Suspense Theater, along with pioneers in the entertainment industry like Bob Hope and Abbott and Costello, along with many other performers who've captured our ears many, many years ago. Join us for the golden age of radio Monday through Thursday, 8 until 10 p.m. on 1480 K-Ray, also 101.1 FM, and you can also stream all of our programming on 1480kray.com.
John Mason here for Lincoln Way Liquor. I want to thank Cheyenne for helping us grow during our first year of business. We have over 5,000 new customers in our database in just 13 months. Our customers love our low prices, free ice, 2% credit for future purchases, and some really friendly service. And we always have 16 weekly specials on beer, wine, and liquor. We ask you to compare Lincoln Way Liquor, 2825 East Lincoln Way. We're not the largest, but we might just be the best.
Taco John's presents Olay the Day Pep Talks.
Boys, I know you take great pride in being prairie dogs, but our mascot needs more sizzle. And what has more sizzle than Taco John's new sirloin steak burritos? So meet your new mascot, a sirloin steak burrito.
Taco John's new sirloin steak burritos are loaded with steak and bold flavors like cheesesteak, steak and potato, and steak and shrimp.
God, Wachowski, stop eating the mascot.
Olay the Day at Taco John's.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 K-Ray.
For today, it'll be sunny with highs around 87 and winds out of the northwest at 10 to 15. Then tonight, it'll be clear skies with lows around 55. On Thursday, it'll be sunny with highs around 91. And on Thursday night, it'll be mostly clear with lows around 55.
Got something to say? Then get it off your chest right now. Phone lines are open at 307-514-1071. Make your opinion count and call the show. Wyoming Sports Talk today.
Welcome back to Wyoming Sports Talk Today. It's hour number 2. We get to talk to Jay Foltz, who is the assistant coach of the Cheyenne Mustangs, as we are chatting a little bit of the CABA tournament past.
I always have to give you credit because you actually called him by his right name this time, not by his son's name.
You know, I do interview and talk to a lot of folks throughout the course of this program. So, you know, I am almost 61.
Calling me AJ is not offensive to me, so just so you know.
Well, anyway, we're talking with Jay Foltz, and again, we're going to talk about the Mustangs here in this particular tournament. We go back to opening night, and we were there at Pioneer Park. You faced the Colorado Bandits. Mm-hmm. I actually thought the lefty they threw against you, and matter of fact, you will agree with me, Nick. Yeah. I saw the flaws, being a lefty, being a pitcher, that when he was on track, he could have been a lot better against you guys. Yeah. Unfortunately, he
wanted to rush everything.
He wanted to rush everything, and when he rushed things, his motion got off. He would either be up and out of the zone or just completely wild, and again, that was to your benefit. But looking at that first game, one hit, and you come away with an 8-run win, but you also got some stellar pitching that night too.
We did, and you're right. He did shut us down, and the problem was that he made mistakes and put guys on bases, or the defense made mistakes and allowed us on bases. And we've got a team that will capitalize on those mistakes. And so, though we had one hit that night, we also won that game 8-0, if I recall correctly. And we ran the bases as good as you can possibly run the bases. And that's one of the details that we pay attention to in practice. So it paid off, despite the fact that we weren't hitting that night.
Well, let me finish that thought there also too. When you guys were running and taking advantage of his wildness, there was also the SoCal coach that was sitting there watching, and then we also had a scout, I think you said from Washington State.
Who
had the gun on him. I couldn't tell you what his speed
Southern
was.
Cal was there late night that first game, and also too Miles City, Montana was as well watching.
But they were watching you, and I know right away when you guys are running, SoCal was taking notes for that next night. So it was interesting in this tournament that you didn't really have the book on everybody, But they were there making sure they were getting notes on you. And I know that first night they were saying, hey, this team is a runner.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we do the same thing to others. We'll get down there and we'll do some advanced scouting to the best of our ability. You just have to at this level because you don't have any other data to kind of go on. And no doubt we probably had a little bit of a target on our back in the sense that people were well aware of who we were because of all the Caba controversy. Plus, they're well aware of who we were based upon our record. And so as a consequence, we draw a lot of attention. So no doubt that they were there scouting us the whole time.
We're squashing that Caba controversy. No, that we're just going to –
Good for you.
Let it pass.
We're going to let it go. Again, the tournament went on. We had fun. It was that tournament, again, fun. Hopefully it happens for the next few years. And, again, involves Mustangs and Post 6. Overall, again, where you did have fans come out, you had fans from other teams, especially where we saw a few families come out to support those Southern California teams or from Washington. But overall, the tournament was a great experience. And again, especially for you in Post 6, great to at least challenge yourselves again, where we're looking at teams from Washington State, California, New Mexico, all around kind of the western part of the United States. But just kind of your thoughts, Jay, of just this tournament as a whole, at least where it worked well. How is this something where you'd love to see at least Cheyenne get this more and more coming up, at least, and have that participation with the Mustangs and Post 6?
Oh, of course. The given the two facilities that we have here, they are top facilities, especially for high school baseball. Canadian team, if I recall correctly. And then for both of those teams, the Mustangs and Post 6, to finish in the top 4 validates what it is that we've been doing all season long. So, I think the momentum is there for us, and I'd like to see more of this in the future to continue to grow both programs to such a degree that everybody gets excited about both teams.
Also, too, and again, this is a credit to both our programs. And again, I'm going to throw in the Coyotes, the up-and-coming, right. Third team here in Cheyenne. But, the Southern California team, and again, I go back to my own playing experience now with the guys. In SoCal, they're playing baseball all year long.
Yes,
they
sir.
take December off for the holidays.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're back at it. So, again, how many times are we on the field? You can count on one hand between January and March that we're getting a chance. We're indoors. We're taking BP indoors. These guys are having simulated games. They're having practice games, whatever the case may be. But the bottom line is these teams in the Southern California area are on the field almost all year long.
No doubt about it. And let's not discount the densely populated areas that they are able to pull all these kids from that we just don't have up here in Cheyenne. So even more of a testament to the talent and the capability that we can put on the diamond here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's impressive, and it's been a phenomenal year for both teams, and it's been phenomenal for me to pay attention and be a participant.
For both of those matchups against that Southern California Renegades team, for you at least kind of being out there again, game one, we talked about it, especially with Christy Waite on Monday, but it was a situation where the Mustangs kind of shot themselves in the foot. Were the only reason why the Renegades got out to that, at least had that monstrous victory again, 11-3. It was more so of just kind of errors. Where again, it was either pitches kind of just getting a little wild, a little bit of issues. But overall, though, what did you kind of take away for the two matchups between Mustangs and Southern California in this past tournament?
The thing that I took away is that despite the fact that they're an incredibly intimidating team, because like I was saying yesterday, that 6 or 7 of those kids could probably play for the University of Georgia football team, we can compete with those guys. We can. I know the scores do not show that. I get that part, but if we played a 7-game series against SoCal, and we were a little bit, say we recruited 1 or 2 more pitchers, and we could throw some pitchers up there every game, we'd beat them 1 or 2 times. We're not going to beat them in a 7-game series. I'm here to tell you, I'm a realist. But the reality is we were not shy about competing against them, and we absolutely did compete against them. We just were not sharp.
Is it a situation, again, where those 2 losses this past week were, again, 2 out, at least you're up to 4 losses, so just 2 brand new. Trying to think of the best way to describe this, but again, it's something that the Mustangs aren't used to, at least if that makes sense. You're not used to losing. Again, you've only at that point had 2 losses, but when you get in that situation where you are kind of in that deep hole against a very good team as Southern California was, is that a situation where you kind of felt from the players there, at least being around them, you kind of just go, we've never been in a situation like this. We don't know how to recover from this. So this team, we're not used to losing at this point in time. Was there ever kind of situations in the clubhouse or at least on the field of those players just kind of going, we don't know. What do we do here?
Yeah,
what is this?
We crawled into a deep hole in both games very, very quickly. And the consequence of that was the psychological component, and that is you started beating yourself up, and that just spirals itself out of control, right? Because you have one negative situation happen, the guys their head goes into the sand as a consequence, and then the next negative situation happen, and it just spirals out of control. So you're exactly right. We have not been in that situation this year. Have we been in games where we're losing and we had to grind it out and come back? You bet. But we're down 1 or 2 runs. I think we got down 4 runs in one game this weekend. And we came back right back in the very next inning, as a matter of fact. But against SoCal, we just got down too much, too soon, and as a consequence, you're right. We just couldn't get it done.
Well, and also the credit to SoCal, and again, this is not taken away against any of our teams. Very solid. I mean, right. You could see that just in their fielding. Right. And again, these guys have played together. It's not like they just shook hands at the beginning of summer and said, "Hey, let's play ball." Right. But also too, we were just talking, and you said it even last hour. Like with the Rockies, just getting into the playoffs. This is like with the Mustangs. Hey, to quote Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Yeah. And again, SoCal is a good team if you go out there and play your game. And I think that's what happened. I think the Mustangs did not play their game. They were more spectators.
Right.
Impressed at how good this team was, and it kind of throws you off your game a little bit, and you try to take it to that next level, but you push yourself
a little too
far. You push yourself out of the race, so to speak.
That's exactly right. And if we were to go square off of them, now that we've seen them, if we were to go square off against them in a doubleheader, and that was the only doubleheader we needed to play, let's say in the period of a week, the strategy we'd take with that and the pitchers that we'd throw at them would be much, much different than if you put us in these 1-game situations or 7-game situation against them. And I think in a 2-game situation we'd compete. We really would.
Yeah. Well, let's see. The next time you could possibly see him would be, in the Connie Mack World Series, as they do have an automatic bid right now. Could we see Mustangs SoCal, the rematch down in Albuquerque? I'd pay good money for that one.
Well, and the thing is, too, it's not so much about SoCal. What it is about this tournament was the different talent levels that came to town.
Right.
And again, you saw very good from the left coast. You also saw some good Colorado talent. You saw talent from Montana. You saw a little bit of this. You saw a little bit of that. What did the Mustangs gain by this tournament?
Well, it's just what I said earlier. We've been playing all of our games lately once we got into the heart of our schedule down in Colorado, and you see a lot of the same teams, especially a lot of those Slammers teams and the Premier West teams and so on and so forth, by the way, which we're going to see this week again. But it gave us an opportunity to see other teams from across the country that then, what I was mentioning to you earlier, validated the very fact that we are a strong baseball team. And we're not just strong here in Colorado or Wyoming. We are strong across the region. And I think we've earned some respect as a consequence. You mentioned all the teams that came to scout us that night. They came to scout us for a reason. It's because the reputation that we've started to develop.
And not to speak over Rick or at least kind of the board with the Cheyenne Mustangs, but especially kind of showcasing against these other teams again, saying, hey, we can beat New Mexico, Washington State, we can compete against Southern California, all these teams around. But, and again, we'll minus the financials and travel and costs and everything that does come with it, but does this kind of open up possibilities? Like, for instance, again, Post-6 competes, at least earlier this year, they were out in Omaha, Nebraska, competing against Arkansas teams and others. Is this a possibility that could expand for Mustangs, at least for that team to, for next season, go, hey, maybe Washington State has something, maybe Seattle.
Let's take our show on the road.
Absolutely. You see that?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we tried to go to Atlanta, Georgia this year, and we were accepted into that perfect game tournament that's big time. I would have loved to have gone there, being a Georgia boy myself. But
you were probably pushing heavily for that one.
I wasn't, because I didn't want anybody to think that I was providing some undue influence, if you know what I mean. True. But that was envisioned much before I joined the team. And then the bottom line there is we just we ended up not having the, full disclosure, we ended up not having the finances based upon everything that happened to us last year. So as a consequence, we had to go find a suitable substitute, and that's when Rick was doing some research and discovered this tournament down in Albuquerque. That the benefit of that one as well is it's a qualifier. So gives us a chance to go to the World Series if we can win it.
Looking at the Caba tournament past, and again, Caba Part 2, which went off a lot better than Caba 1. But this is a tournament I was impressed, especially with all three fields in action, as we saw Lansing Field having some games in addition to Pioneer Park and, of course, Powers Field. I guess your thoughts from this tournament about what Cheyenne did, and again, he came under a lot of scrutiny, and in some cases deservedly so. But it looks like Steve Avila pulled it off here, and I would think that this looks like another stomping ground for some good baseball tournaments for Mustangs / Post 6.
Yeah, I'm a very balanced and objective person, I'd like to think, so I can give credit where credit is due. Steve Avila did a great job getting more teams here. So from last year's 4-team tournament to this year's 17 tournament, kudos to Steve Avila for doing the things that he needed to do to get all these teams out here. Kudos to Steve Avila for getting some incredible umpires out here as well. Were there things that we could learn from this year that we could improve upon if he intends to bring this tournament back in future years? Absolutely. But overall, a success story compared to last year.
And technically, looking at last year, it didn't go according to Hoyle. This year, it did go according to Hoyle. And like you said, this was more or less the really first year. And now you got a chance to grow and build on this tournament when it's back here again, hopefully next year.
Absolutely.
All right, we are talking with Jay Folds with the Cheyenne Mustangs. We're going to be back after we take a time out right here at 1480 K-Ray.
Are you looking for a pharmacist who will actually take the time to talk to you? Then come to Medicap Pharmacy. We're dedicated to healthcare only, which means we'll fill your prescription quickly, and then we'll make time to listen, answer your questions, explain your prescriptions, and tell you about possible drug interactions.
Medicap Pharmacy. We'll always make time for you.
Medicap Pharmacy, 1947 Bluegrass Circle, next to Texas Roadhouse in Cheyenne. Or call 635-3712.
The time is now, and the place to go is Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service for their annual model clearance sale of Jayco RVs and fifth wheels. This is your year to travel the countryside, and what better way with your Jayco RV from Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service. And to put you on the road today, save 30% on their annual model clearance. Their savings are always the best on whatever model you select. Come see and take home your favorite today when you buy from Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service at 6102 East Highway 30 in Cheyenne, or go online to jollyrogersrvs.com. Chick-fil-A is a proud supporter of our high school athletes at East, Central, and South. May the school year bring success to all of you. Before you start your day, stop by Chick-fil-A for a hearty, delicious, and satisfying breakfast, only at Windmill and Del Range. Breakfast is served Monday through Saturday from 6 in the morning till 10:30 a.m. Breakfast with Chick-fil-A, the most important meal of the day at Windmill and Del Range.
Are you thinking about purchasing a home? Then Platte Valley Bank can help. With Platte Valley Bank, you can count on local decisions and expect to work with an experienced staff to design a loan to fit your needs. Just log on to pvbank.com and fill out our online application. We have money to lend, and at Platte Valley Bank, we are in the business of fulfilling dreams, enriching lives, and building our community one loan at a time.
All loans subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Here the season never ends. From Wyoming sports to the Broncos in Denver. From Rockies baseball to talking hoops with Nuggets basketball. Local, regional, and national. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today, right here on AM 1480 K-Ray.
As we are back on Wyoming Sports Talk today, Jay Folds joining us from the Cheyenne Mustangs. It's hard to fathom as we get here in mid-July that the season's winding down for both of our locals with Post 6, since we had Ty Lane on last weekend with the Mustangs. Yes, tournament here, tournament there, and then hopefully the achieving goal, the Connie Mack World Series tournament. But, I mean, boom, you're into the season, heart of the season, and then next thing you know, we're getting into the wrap-up. Question is, as many games you guys played, are the guys still focused on these on baseball? They want to, or is it like, well, I got to move on to my other school, or
get ready for college,
get ready for my senior year in high school? Tell us a little bit where the guys' thinking is at here with just a few games left on the schedule.
No, I think our guys, because they're such competitors, are still focused, and in particular, we've talked recently about doing what we needed to do to win a Colorado State championship, and then turning right around and qualifying for a Connie Mack World Series berth. So that was just a recent conversation. So I know the guys are focused on those things. Now, do we have some kids that are gearing up for college? Absolutely. Still got some this week. As a matter of fact, paid a visit to a college up north to try to get themselves scholarships. And by the way, we did have 2 more offers this week. So yeah, some are paying attention to that because it's coming down to the 11th hour.
Well, again, that 11th hour is now where you have those kind of season finale tournaments again, with at least the Mustangs competing in the Colorado State tournament. Obviously, no Wyoming State tournament, but again, this is the perfect time where you need that focus. So again, where we finally got past the hullabaloo that was in Caba, it worked well, and now here we are again. Kind of, do you kind of see, at least for this Colorado State tournament, as much as it is, you're going to be the only Wyoming representation out there, but is it something where you're still focused on winning that championship and saying, hey, right on, we out of Cheyenne, Wyoming took your Colorado State championship, and here we are. I mean. How do you kind of approach a tournament like that, where again it's teams that you've seen plenty of time, but it's their state tournament, and you're just kind of welcomed into it?
Yeah, we motivate them just by the way you stated. I mean, you stated very eloquently. We're a Wyoming team, and we know Colorado is deep in talent, and so we get them motivated to go down there and show them that Cheyenne, Wyoming kids can play baseball and win state championships down there, and boy, how nice would that be if we steal it from one of the local Colorado teams, and the guys get that. They've this core of group won a state championship as the Stars when they were 9. Of course, AJ and I left since we were military, and then I think Rick took another team down there at the 12U level and won a state championship. So for most of them, this would be their 3rd if we can get it done.
And I guess to clarify more on my question about that Colorado State tournament, is it more? Would it be more special if Wyoming could get more Connie Mack teams, and whether it's representation from
Casper? You can't say that, Nick, because we're a sparse state.
Well, I get that, but would it mean more though if Wyoming saying, "Hey, we won the Wyoming State tournament here in the Connie Mack kind of, league," more than competing down in Colorado of going, well, it's not our state, but would it mean more to the team, to the kids going, "Hey, we won here in our home state, here in the state of Wyoming"? Is it something that in your personal opinion, are you happy? Are you perfectly fine just going down in Colorado and just saying, having the potential to steal their championship away from those Colorado teams, or would you rather have a Wyoming kind of state held, like for instance with Post 6, they'll be having theirs here very shortly?
So you asked me my personal opinion, and you're probably going to get me personally shot for saying this, but I don't mind telling you. The reality is I pay more attention to the depth of talent and the rigor and the gauntlet that you must run through in order to get to that state championship. If it's deep, then it's more satisfying. If it's not so deep, I'm a Georgia boy. I'm a transplant, if you will. I love Wyoming to death, but that's just my opinion. I'd rather go into Colorado and win that state championship down there. If there was a big contingent and it was densely populated and we had a lot of teams up here that were Connie Mack and Wyoming, sure, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, and again, it's never going to happen in Wyoming. I mean, we have to face facts on it. Yeah, Casper and Cheyenne will be able to field Connie Mack teams. Gillette,
possibly.
Maybe Sheridan, maybe,
yeah.
And then you look at the teams in the West; they have a hard enough time fielding.
You would have to combine probably Rock Springs and Green River.
Well, you have a hard time fielding your own American Legion teams out there, even Laramie.
Right.
So again, it's always going to be
it's hopeful wishes.
The Connie Macs are also going to be for Casper and Cheyenne. They're also going to be the visitor at these tournaments. I guess what you could have phrased it though, instead of saying Colorado, could there a possibility be a Rocky Mountain type of world,
I'd love it.
Of series? Now, again, would that now, does Nebraska have a few Connie Mac teams? Does Utah have a few Connie Mac teams to incorporate with Colorado and then possibly make that a much bigger tournament?
I'm unfamiliar with those two states, but if in theory they did, I would love it. I think it would be something for the young kids out in this particular region to aspire to year in and year out. And if in order for you to win it, it must be one of those things where you really grind it out. And the one time in many years when you have a chance to win this thing, you go off and you celebrate it for an entire year, as opposed to winning it every other year kind of thing. It just kind of loses its luster in that regard.
And that'd be nice too if it goes into Colorado one year, Salt Lake City the next year, comes back to Cheyenne, then goes out to Hastings, Nebraska, and then goes
I'd
back.
probably say more Scotts Bluff than anything.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that would be. That's why I'm saying call it more of a Rocky Mountain series. But again, Colorado's got enough teams to field a Connie Mac league. So
how about do northern of maybe Montana, South Dakota?
And again, it's all dependent on how many teams can make up.
Whoever runs
that
Connie Mac,
league.
just give us a call. We got some ideas for you.
It would be a lot of travel for these guys, that's for sure. But I guess you guys are used to the rigors of going on the road and spending a lot of time away from home during the late spring and during the summer. So as we get done with Colorado, we move on to Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about New Mexico. Let's talk about this tournament that you got going on down there. Again, is that, if I'm not mistaken, yet another qualifier?
It is. So we're taking what amounts to our second run at trying to qualify for the Connie Mac World Series. So it's down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And if we can run that gauntlet down there, then we will, if we can win the thing, then we'll qualify to move on over to Farmington, or New Mexico the next week for the Connie Mac World Series. Would be awesome.
Shifting back at least to this Colorado tournament coming up, at least that's kind of the main focus right now. But teams, as you mentioned with the Slammers, you've seen it seems like a plethora of Slammer teams, whoever's running those kind of management down there. But is it similar teams that we've seen throughout this season that you're at least don't need to worry about, advanced scouting? Is it a situation that you're going to see a lot of teams that you've already faced this season?
Well, right now the way it's set up is we're playing pool play on Thursday and Friday at 2 o'clock and 4:30 each day. On day one, we play Colorado Elite Baseball. We've not seen them. We don't know anything about them, so we need to try to figure out how we can do some advanced scouting or do a little research on them. But the Premier West team is the other team we play on Thursday. We do have notes on them, and we had a doubleheader. We were able to beat them twice down at their park not too long ago. Then on Friday, we play two Slammers teams. We got Slammers Haynes that we know nothing about. So, again, we'll go into scouting mode to the extent we can. And then we've got Slammers Quarton, which we have faced off against this year. So we'll go right back into our personal notes. And then the bracket on Saturday, the 4 games on Thursday and Friday are at Regis University, and then we move over to Metro University on Saturday, and that's the final 4. So you've got to be top 4 coming out of pool to make it into that bracket on Saturday. So we'll actually play, if we make it, we'll play the championship game on Saturday and nothing on Sunday.
And in a situation that happened this past week, you went through a lot of arms. I know Rick told us last week that you didn't want to show anything in Game 2 against SoCal, so you didn't really throw the number 2 guy. So we look at a situation here. It basically, you got all hands on deck right out of the box.
We do because we need to, it's going to be tougher to qualify for top 4. I think there's, typically you see in these tournaments down there, you get about 40, 45 teams, but you also get a bunch from out of state, right? So in a state championship, obviously, naturally, would be less numbers. I think that there's going to be about 25 teams in this tournament, and we've got to be able to be the top 4 to advance, which is going to be interesting because I believe if I'm reading the bracket or the setup correctly, there's 6 pools. So you might win your pool and not advance. So not only are we going to have to win and probably go undefeated, but we're going to have to keep our runs allowed down as well to account for any type of tiebreaker. So, yeah, all hands on deck, especially for the guys on the bump.
And I know I've asked you this before, and I'm going to ask it again. We're into the season here of 50 games already for the Mustangs, and again, we've got more games still on the slate. But arms, where are they at this time of year? Pitch counts, are we letting them go the distance if they need to? What do you got planned for the pitchers?
So all the kids are in good shape. All the kids are healthy minus one. One of our pitchers, he's primarily a right fielder and our two-hole hitter, but we also use him on the bump. I'm talking about Dakota Merritt. He did break his pinky finger a couple of weeks ago. We're hoping we're going to find out tonight. I think we're going to get him on the hill to just give him some throws. We're hoping that he's going to be healed up enough that we can use him. But everybody else is in shape. They're healthy, so if they're hitting their spots and they're effective for us, we'll let them go the distance. We kind of need them to, because we got to win. In order for us to win this thing, we've got to win 6 games in a row in 3 days.
And with these kids, and again, I look at the old man league that I play in, and we have like 8-9 guys that can pitch, and we're down in Arizona, but we're playing also 8 games in a total of 6 days, and our guy who starts on game 1 is back in game 3, and he's pitching in game 8.
And also, you all have IV bags out there and everything else.
And air, and there's AMR equipment out there. Right. My question is, though, with your guys, if we bring a guy out on day 1, is he available for bullpen duty by day 3 or day 2, or is he back starting a couple of days later? How do you go with the arms?
It depends. We do follow the Major League Baseball recommended pitching chart that sort of characterizes throw X number of pitches at this age on one day. You need this number of days of rest. We follow that very strictly, which is a testament to Rick Thompson and his desire to protect these young arms. So if we keep a kid on day 1 under a certain pitch count and he only needs a day of rest, then he can come back on Saturday for us. And we may strategize that way. Rick and I and Reed haven't gotten together and discussed who's going to pitch when this weekend, but sometimes we factor that in.
You make fun of that, but our guys, they throw October, the last part of October through the early part of November, and then we say, throw them every day. They got all winter to heal. So that's the way we approach baseball. So that
you can abuse you. We can't abuse a bunch of teenagers.
We can't do the teams like that. All right. Anyway, go ahead, Nick.
Well, again, as we it's kind of tradition, but we got to ask you for these upcoming tournaments. Are we looking at wood bats, metal bat? What are we looking at for the rest of the season, at least for Colorado, and then even down in Albuquerque?
So we've turned to metal now for the Colorado State. So we've got the kids swinging the metal again this week. To make sure that they understand ball flight and everything else and how the ball is coming off the bat. And then next week we'll turn right back to wood bat for the qualifier. The only problem with that is we've got the travel. We'll be traveling down there on Tuesday. And we'll probably give the kids Sunday off. So we'll only have 1 day of practice with the woods to sort of reconstitute the swing. With the wood bat, which scares us a little bit because, as you guys well know, we prefer a longer transition to get back into the wood bat. But our kids they've got enough experience with it over the years. They're very confident in turning to the wood bat quickly.
Do you have that option, as you kind of mentioned, from that Gehring kind of doubleheader contest that you had before heading into Caba, where it was an option, at least with metal with them, and then you knew it was a wood bat with Caba. If you make it to semifinals, championship game down in Colorado, is it going to stick with metal? Or
Oh yeah. So against Gehring, we felt confident enough that we were going to square it up and be able to compete. But just so you know, we had our metal bats with us on the off chance that we really needed to sort of mount a comeback. We're competing for Colorado State Championship. That's numero uno on our minds right now. So that's the Connie Mack qualifier for that next week is something that we shouldn't worry about. So we're probably not even going to have the wood bats with us, to be honest with you.
Again, you and I being the older guys, and again, we can swing wood bats, not a problem, and I've swung wood bats for a long time. Is there that sense of more confidence for those younger guys swinging the metal bat than as opposed to wood? I mean, again, if you haven't been brought up with wood, through your playing career, whether it's from junior leagues, whatever the case may be. But is there something about, gosh, I got my security blanket here. I can swing that metal bat all weekend long. Is that a confidence thing?
Absolutely. And coming off of this last tournament in Cabo, we had a couple kids that didn't hit as well as they would have liked throughout the course of the tournament. Matter of fact, we had 3 games where we were really uncharacteristically low number of hits. So I will promise you the kids are looking forward to pulling that medal out, and it is a little bit of a security blanket for them. And so we think it's perfect timing, and it's going to be a little bit of a confidence builder going into this tournament.
Final thought before we let Jay go, and want to thank you so much for joining us here on Wyoming Sports Talk today. Again, with the wood bats, and I saw there was a bat company that had posted a little area that was there at Powers, if I recall. Yeah. Is there a wood bat company that tries to market to, Connie Mack teams? Is there for example, I look behind me, Mariucci was our bat last year, but across the street at Tempe Diablo was Dovetail Bats. Again, Major League Baseball bats. Are bat companies coming to Connie Mack teams saying, hey, try our bats?
Well, the Haag, I think it's Haag is how you say it, H-A-A-G. Yeah. That company in particular we find is at a lot of these wood bat tournaments. So we've seen him multiple times, but do we have anybody beyond him sort of reaching out to our kids? Not so much. We got a lot of kids with bomb bats, B-A-U-M, but I think most of that is just that they hear about the reputation, they go online and they order a bat, but we don't have anybody pushing that kind of stuff on us.
All right, sounds good. We want to thank Jay Foles for joining us once again. Good luck to you this weekend and continued success. Again, season's winding down, but hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you or Rick one more time before it's all said and done.
And we appreciate your guys' support and all the games that you guys have come out and watched the Mustangs. That is not lost on us. We do appreciate it.
You don't need to thank us. We should be thanking you again. We get the pleasure to watch these games again. That was a fun tournament.
Yeah, you get the coach and me to come out there and watch this. Like, I see what the flaw is right there.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say also, too, at least final thought.
He gets sick. I go, watch, Nick. He's going to throw this pitch. Watch, it's going to be here.
Yeah.
I'm calling the pitch before it even gets there.
Yeah, it doesn't get fun anymore, at least with you. But anyways, though, at least hopefully Jay pass along to Rick that maybe we can get a Mustangs, since we didn't get it in Cabo, as I was hoping for. Maybe we get an exhibition match before the respective teams move on to their American Legion tournament and Connie Mack of an exhibition between Post 6 and Mustangs. I mean, what else do I need to beg for this, please? I'm just saying, maybe you can relay it to Rick, and then we'll talk with Ty, and maybe we can get this over at Powers Field exhibition match.
Or we could do it at the end of the year, and let's do it.
That's true too. Yeah, I just want to. I want to see
this. Or raise some funds for both Post 6 and the Mustangs next year.
It'd be a lot of fun.
I want to see that. I need to see that game.
Yeah. It would be the Mustangs and Post 6 All-Star game, and we raise money for charity, and we sell out Powers Field. And
I'm just trying to think of you got the catchy names of it's like the Thrilla in Manila. What would be for Cheyenne? I don't know. Anyways,
I don't know.
I got to work on that one.
We're going to take a timeout. We're going to let Jay go, and we'll be back to get ready to wrap up Wyoming Sports Talk today for this Wednesday. We're back after these words.
Is your teenager ready to drive?
Come on, Mom. Let's go.
Sorry, you're not ready to drive yet.
What? Come on.
You need to complete a driver's ed class first.
The Wyoming-Montana Safety Council offers a complete driver's education program taught by Tim Woodard, former Laramie County School District's driver's ed teacher. Classes are starting soon. Please call 635-4592 to sign up or go to wmsafetycouncil.org. Wyoming-Montana Safety Council. Think safe, live safe.
Wow, it's hot enough out there to fry chicken. So now's the time to find ways to beat the heat, and Marv's Plumbing and Heating, 1515 Logan Avenue, is the best place to go to get cool. Marv's Plumbing and Heating, which provides complete air conditioning, installation, inspection, and repair services, is offering its air conditioning inspections for just $98. So beat the heat right now by calling Marv's Plumbing and Heating today at 316-7634. That's 316-7634.
When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think authentic Italian. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think made fresh from scratch. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think great pizza, delicious Philly cheesesteak, superb hot and cold Italian sandwiches, meatballs, sausage, and special subs, calzones, crisp salads, and great service. When you say Mondello's Pizzeria, think unmatched Italian taste. Mondello's Pizzeria, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, your only true Italian stop for lunch or dinner.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 K-Ray.
For today, it'll be sunny with highs around 87 and winds out of the northwest at 10 to 15. Then tonight, it'll be clear skies with lows around 55. On Thursday, it'll be sunny with highs around 91. And on Thursday night, it'll be mostly clear with lows around 55.
Tired of lazy and predictable sports talk radio? We know you are. This is Cheyenne's new sports radio home. It's Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's right here on AM 1480 K-Ray.
Today's program featuring TJ McBride, Nuggets beat writer for MileHighSports.com, host of the Nuggets Daily Podcast, Thomas Harding, Rockies insider for MLB.com. Most recently, we had Jay Foles in representing the Cheyenne Mustangs. I want to go back to...
And yes, send all your hate mail, because I forgot to put the audio for Periscope and YouTube for TJ's. I caught it at the tail end, so apologies that he will not be at least rebroadcast. At least we're on our social media sites. We do repost those interviews, so unfortunately TJ's will not be at least there, because again, I did not hit the audio button on this end, but we will, you know.
All right, where I'm more sympathetic towards you, you're on me like a cheap suit, but I'm not.
You're not sympathetic. Don't
I'm
give me
not
that
going to go
all.
anywhere.
Do not.
Anyway, I want to go back to TJ talking about the state of the Denver Nuggets, and again, there was a big trade in the NBA as we're getting close to wrapping up our program here today.
Yes, it finally happened.
Yeah, and I guess to me, this would have been my third choice of the trade for Kawhi Leonard. Well, I actually had him going elsewhere.
Well, it's a team no one really expected.
Exactly. They came out. I heard about this over the weekend that they were in the running, and it also tells me, too, Toronto needs to get to that next step. They are a team that's there, but they can't get over the hump. And they thought they might have got the piece that's going to get them over the hump.
I mean, Toronto was there, and again,
no, they're not. They're not there. They're a good team, but look what Cleveland did to them.
Well, guess what? Cleveland is not the same team. Pretty much, it's them and Boston.
I understand that.
But again, you get rid of your head coach of the year. Now you're getting rid of DeRozan. It's a situation right now where, how do I evaluate this trade? And again, it's a situation with Kawhi. Yes, he has great talent. He has great.
A healthy Kawhi is good.
Absolutely. But will he be healthy? That is the question you have to ask yourself every single season now as you head into it. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be there for more than half the season? You really don't know. He is kind of that Derrick Rose player where, if you were healthy, man, you'd probably be MVP. You'd be great. You'd be leading this team to possible championships. Granted, I don't really see if he's healthy and leading that Toronto team that they're going to take down the Warriors. But it's a situation where, hey, Kawhi, you got your wish. You're no longer at the Spurs. Even though, however, I don't know if you saw this, that Kawhi was talked about the move to Toronto, and guess what? He's not happy going out to Toronto. He does not want to be a part of the Toronto Raptors program. At least that was a statement that he gave out earlier today once his trade was kind of announced or at least put together. His thoughts were, well, he's already crying and complaining that he doesn't want to play in San Antonio. Well, here you go, Kawhi, you're going to Toronto. Well, I don't want to play there either. Well, sorry, pal. It's a situation where, hey, they gave us the best bang for our buck. And again, I think Spurs with DeRozan, I think not a bad deal.
Actually, I think the Spurs came out pretty good on that.
Absolutely.
So they unload Kawhi, they get DeRozan, a team they can build around.
Oh yeah.
And again, matter of fact, he was kind of the Kobe Bryant of Toronto. So
well, and that was the guy that Toronto was building around. So
yeah,
hey, so San Antonio now
San
you have that guy.
They also get Jacob Podol, I do believe you say his name, and a top 20 projected first round pick that converts into two 2020 second round picks if somehow lands in the top 20 this season. So yeah, you sit here and you look at I think for DeRozan, and you get a veteran coach in Papa and Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
And again, a guy who,
and even before this trade, and without
great players in front of him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Again, with San Antonio, it's a team. No matter who is on that, at least with that squad, that starting five, if you're led by Greg Popovich, it's a team that is bound to make the playoffs, no matter what. Yeah, I think this is the same. This
I don't
with
see
DeRozan,
I
think it
making the playoffs.
I think it elevates them. I do. I think with them finishing 7th last year, I think it does. I think with his talent, again, he can be healthy. He adds a lot to that team now. I'm not saying they are a top 3 team, or at least they're going to be there.
No.
But I think they float 6, 5, potentially. I really do. I think the Spurs, you cannot discredit them.
I think
they're not going to be a non-playoff
to get in the playoffs because they're older.
No.
And again, they still have some areas that need concern right now, and I don't see the Spurs. No, I'm going to disagree with you. I think they might be like the Nuggets. They may be battling for that last playoff spot on the last week of the season. I really believe it.
Again, I don't discredit Greg Popovich. I
don't either. I'm just saying he does not have he has the talent now in DeRozan around to build.
He can take nothing and make it into
team.
Gold. I mean, let's be honest. That's how good of a coach he is. So, again, I can't disrespect him. But finally, though, Kawhi Leonard, yes, at least it was also, too, kind of boring. They did have to do league talks about the trade, so maybe Adam Silver strikes it down as he could if he wanted to. Or
I think that would be silly.
That'd be dumb. And hopefully Adam Silver does not do that in the, at least NBA front office does not do that. They just allow it to happen. As much as Kawhi is complaining about this, hey, you want it out, you're out. Have fun in Toronto. Good luck up there, and do the best you can in the Eastern Conference. And again, if he's healthy, yes, Toronto, I think they can continue being a playoff team. I think they could be floating around. I don't think they're going to be that 1 seed. You guarantee that should be Boston's. But they could compete for 2, around with Philadelphia, 3. That's just barring if Kawhi can be healthy. If he can be healthy this season, which is a gamble. It's really a flip of the coin of, is he going to play 82 games, or is he going to barely play half the season? You really don't know. You don't know. But at the situation, Spurs fans, rejoice. He's gone, I guess, and you got something pretty good in return for him.
Well, I want to go back to baseball here as we get ready to wrap things up.
Do we have to?
Well, yeah, because
there's someone in at least our Periscope Live who's a fan of probably the team you're about to talk about.
You mean the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Well, all's quiet right now. That's just it.
Quiet-ish.
It's still quiet. Nothing has happened. It's interesting.
The talks have rumbled, and there's possibility. It's looking more like it's going to happen.
That Manny Machado is going to be a Los Angeles Dodger. And the thing is, too, I think it's more of a disruption to the Dodgers. Yeah, does it make them better offensively?
I think it does a little bit.
You have to move pieces around.
Granted, we've seen all-stars go there and kind of.
I'm looking at
peer out.
I'm looking at 2 other names. And again, when we were talking with Thomas Hardy, very good possibility that Nolan, maybe that DJ LeMahieu might be on the move. We don't know.
Yeah.
But a couple names that are also tossed out last night. Bryce Harper could be bye-bye. He's going to warrant a lot of money for a Nats team that's nowhere near the.
I think the Nationals need to hit the restart button.
And again,
and we saw that with at least releasing a few managers. And again,
and here's the deal with Bryce Harper. Harper has not made any intentions known if he wants to re-sign with the Nats after this season. Then
I think he would. Again, he's beloved in Washington. Again, he is the face of that franchise.
What's to say he doesn't go to Baltimore?
Oh, God. No.
Yeah, but Baltimore's rebuilding.
I don't think he wanted to be a part of that mess.
I don't know. And then the other name that was thrown out last night, and he threw well for San Diego, and he just signed a new deal. So with him, you're going to pick up a big contract, for a bullpenner, and that's Brad Hand. So if you need left-handed pitching.
But who are we talking about? Are we talking about the Dodgers, or should look at these pieces? Or, again, it's just pieces out there.
These are pieces that are being thrown out there. Again, I can tell you right now.
I think the Dodgers right now, especially if they do land Machado, as it's looking like it's going to happen, I think Dodgers really don't need to do a whole lot. It was a team where even I said, as this was floating around on Monday, it's a team where you don't really need to do a whole lot with them. Maybe move Yasiel Puig, get him out of the outfield, and figure out something there. But it's a Dodgers team right now. It's figuring out things. It's gotten past the injury bug. It's a situation where you're kind of set.
Well, right now,
as much as it's bunched up in the NL West, you're pretty good, at least as it stands. it's more kind of on Diamondbacks to do something, Giants to do something, Rockies need to do something, and the Dodgers, you just kind of need to put the foot on the pedal and just keep going.
Well, right now with the Dodgers, if I understand right, the trade is being held up by the Baltimore Orioles, and it has to do with an issue regarding the physical of one of the prospects that the Dodgers had agreed to send. So this looks like it's going to be a one-for-many-player deal that the Dodgers are going to give up. And again,
Dodgers have those pieces.
All the Dodgers are getting right here is a hired gun. Machado, again, is a free agent at the end of the year. I bet he won't be a Dodger next year.
No, it's a situation we've seen it with the Giants where, you bring in your big gun to elevate, at least add to this team, vault them to, again, what is the main goal for the Dodgers this year? Well, you've already been to the World Series. Now you need to win the thing. That's what they're looking for right now is this guy is going to hopefully be that piece to win them that championship. As much as I don't really want the Dodgers to win that thing, but it's a situation that's how they're approaching it.
If you look back on the Hunter Pence trade when the Giants brought Pence to San Francisco, he was a hired gun.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what?
He's still with them.
He ended up keeping him. So again,
Machado,
I don't think he's going to stay with the Dodgers.
I really don't.
I really believe he's going to want to go to Philadelphia because he wants to be reunited.
And again, nothing is set in stone.
Office.
This is not an official trade yet, but it's looking like more it is. But
it's being held up right now by the Baltimore Orioles because they have some questions. And again, they're going to get a lot and basically give up nothing because they're the seller, and that's where they're going to wrap up the year.
Well, it's a team that needs to rebuild, absolutely. They need those young pieces, those young guns to evolve this team back into relevancy out there in the AL East, especially when you were competing against top-level Boston teams and Yankees. It's a situation of, hey, Dodgers, you've had a solid farm system so far. We like what you're doing. Yeah, we'll take a chance and bring them on over to Baltimore.
All right, baseball has the night off again tonight. It's travel night. There is one game on the slate tomorrow. It will be at Wrigley with the Cubs and the Cardinals. There's no game tonight.
Oh, wait. Is today Wednesday?
Tomorrow.
Today's Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
So baseball returns.
Tells you what day I'm on.
It only tells you one game for the slate tomorrow.
I put it on our Pepsi scoreboard that was happening today. My bad. I thought today was Thursday. I'm so off. The Cabo thing has me all mixed up. Again, we took off, almost a week? It feels weird.
Keep getting deeper and deeper into it. It's all right.
All right, I'm admitting a fault, the rare one that I do.
You've made two already today, so you
How?
Want to,
what?
We forgot
Talking with you?
We forgot the recording, DJ.
That was, no, I'm focusing on my this show to make it
all
fast.
Right, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we want to remind you coming up, we have our Golden Age of Radio Theater. I was listening to Red Skelton last night. I love that show. Red Skelton times 2 from 8 until 9 o'clock and from 9 until 10.
1480kray.com/goldenage.
And we also have Suspense Theater from 9 until 10. Not that I don't dislike Suspense Theater. It's past my bedtime. But
it'd probably scare you anyways.
Have you ever heard the program?
A little bit.
Oh, right.
It's that mystery thriller suspense.
That's right.
Clearly.
Red Skelton, though, I like the comedy because, again, a lot of those characters that he has in the radio, he brought with him on television, and they're just as funny on radio as well. All right, so we are going to wrap things up with this date in history. So let's find out what happened on this date.
This might be a gimme, but let's see. It is July 18th. We'll go back to the year 1960. This double addition happened in a sport. This, I don't want to give you too much on it, but July 18th, 1960, this double addition happened to this sport. This
double addition happened to the sport. Major League Baseball expanded?
To who? With who?
In
1960.
1960.
These National League teams.
Oh, the National League teams expanded. I was going to say the Los Angeles Angels. Houston Astros? No, not the Houston. Was it Houston Astros and New York Mets?
There you go. On July 18th, 1960, baseball.
Houston Colt 45s.
Yeah. Baseball's National League votes to add Houston and New York as franchises to Major League Baseball. So that's what happened. And
thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I
gave you enough
daily,
hints.
And please don't forget to tip your
waiters. I gave you everything for that.
You didn't give me nothing. I figured it out all by myself. Anyway, we wrap things up. We're back at it again tomorrow from 3 until 5. Enjoy your evening. Yes, we have Mitch Carter coming in. He's the contestants chairman for Cheyenne Frontier Day. So, yeah, the rodeo's already off and running, by the way. They're doing what they call slack because of the the talent that we have, and again, Frontier Days draws a lot of talent, so we have to put them in extra portions of the program.
It feels like it's starting earlier than it did in years past. I always thought it was like you have
the rodeo.
Isn't it Saturday
through the Sunday of next week, but you have so many contestants that come because the paychecks are really good here.
But I'm just saying, I always thought Saturday was the start of that slack stuff, and then it got into it.
No. It starts prior to the Daddy.
I didn't think it started this early.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to talk with Mitch Carter tomorrow right here on 1480 K Radio. Enjoy your evening. For Nick Proetti, I'm Larry Proetti. Bye-bye.